Test.
Can you read the big words?
I don't think it's working.
big
Is it
word.
working? Test.
I mean, we offer colors and pictures if need be.
I sometimes need that.
Test.
Defiance. I like small child. Affecting
That's what he was painting the other day.
allergy.
Oh, against Temple, or, against Tony
Oh.
Temple.
All of us are like, the counties get smaller and smaller, unincorporated. Oh, yeah.
I guess, yeah,
Yep.
we were the only team to beat them, they lost to Michigan.
How long is how long does typically you serve? How long does typically you serve here? I'm going on 6 years.
I'm always
Yeah, I am too.
I like that actually.
Got a good coach.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
so
I do.
they don't kick you off.
I do like him.
See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
Or if a new commissioner comes in, I guess.
I just know how coach.
Executive.
They need to make save in a commission.
Is he gonna serve out his full term?
Yeah, I've heard, Tavia, the kid in Vanderbilt, just, SEC school offered him $4.5 million for school.
I can win that.
My son called me 5 times and he's like, I don't know what to do with this. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Laura, you ready?
Yes.
4, 5, 6, we have a quorum. Good evening. Welcome to the June 18th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. At this time, I would request that everyone please turn off or mute all cell phones and other electronic devices. Also at this time, I would invite everyone to please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Applications for conditional use permit requests and rezoning requests will be heard during tonight's meeting. and the commission will vote on these applications and make a recommendation to the county council. The applications will then be scheduled to be introduced before the county council at the Monday, July 14th, 2025 county council meeting. Public comment for conditional use permit requests will be taken during tonight's meeting and at the council meeting on Monday, July 14th, 2025. Public comment on conditional use permit applications will not be taken at any meeting of the county council held thereafter. Applications for preliminary plats heard during tonight's meeting will be voted on by the Planning and Zoning Commission during the meeting. The vote on preliminary plats is final. Only a recommendation for denial of a preliminary plat would be heard before the county council on their Monday, July 14th, 2025 meeting. The following documents are introduced as a matter of record for this evening's public hearing and regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Those documents are the Unified Development Ordinance of St. Charles County, including zoning maps, the year 2030 Master Plan for St. Charles County, which includes the year 2030 Future Land Use Plan map, and the Rules of Order and Procedure for the Planning and Zoning Commission as adopted by Resolution 21-01. I see that we have a quorum. Is there a motion to open the meeting?
Motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to open the meeting. All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're in business. I'll give you a little brief rundown as how we conduct these meetings. I will read into the record the application. We will ask the staff for their report. Members of the commission may or may not have questions for staff at that time. We'll ask the applicant to come forward and present their application and answer any questions that the commissioners may have. We will then open the public hearing for the application. Anyone who wishes to speak can come and speak regarding the application. Once we've closed the public hearing, we'll ask the applicant to come back, address any issues that may have come about during the public hearing or any additional questions that members of the commission may have. If you're going to speak, I think Ms. Hayes got most of you, but if you're going to speak, you please fill out one of these cards. She has them here on her table. This way we ensure that we get your name correct in our minutes. Also, in the with the application, I have to swear you in. So when you come, I'll ask you to raise your right hand and I will swear you in. Okay. So please remember you're being sworn in. If you're making a statement as to your opinion, tell us it's your opinion. If you're stating something as a fact, make sure it is truly a fact. Okay? Okay, we'll get started. First item on the agenda is zoning map amendment request located at 2667 Frymuth Road. The application number is RZ25-06. Property owners are Eugene Vogelsgang and Dorothy Vogelsgang Family Residence Trust. Applicants are Dorothy Vogelsang and Thomas Vogelsang. Current zoning is A agricultural district, minimum 5-acre lot size. Proposed zoning is RR single family residential district, minimum 3-acre lot size. The 2030 master plan recommends rural residential land uses. Rezoning area is 6 acres, which is 2 parcels combined. The location is 2367 Frymuth Road on the northwest corner of Nightingale Court and Frymuth Road near the city of St. Paul. This is located in Council District 1. Staff.
Thank you. I have a presentation that I would like to show. Yep. Can everyone hear me back there? I
No,
don't
the
know.
sound's not on, I don't think,
Oh, okay.
anywhere.
I'll try to project. See, is this one?
No, hit,
Oh, that's right.
I know, but it's not.
Test. I don't think any of them are working.
We just need to speak loud.
Check 1, 2.
That's interesting.
So talk loud.
Roger
We have
did
to
it.
have it for the recording.
Is your green light on?
Mm-hmm,
It is.
yeah.
Yeah, my green light's on.
It's Roger's fault.
I mean, it's my fault.
It is.
Hold on.
Off to a hot start. Off to a hot start.
There they
Test,
go.
test. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
It's
Finally.
on.
There we go.
Do I have to
Okay.
start over?
All right. So a lot of this stuff is what you've already read into the record. I won't bore you with it. The one thing I will note, the rezoning area, it's 2 lots. It's 2367 Freymuth, which is a 2-lot or 2-acre parcel, and then an unaddressed parcel under that account number. So the request is to, on the right, you can see the subject area. They're applying to rezone that from or agricultural district to RR, rural residential, so basically going from 5 acres to 3 acres. Their intent is to make both parcels around 3 acres. Like I said, the bigger parcel, the vacant one's about 4 acres, and then the smaller one's 2 acres. So both properties are not located with any kind of public utility service area for water or sewer, so they have septic systems and individual wells that serve the properties. This is kind of the surrounding land uses of the area. Surprisingly enough, it's not a part of Birdsong Meadows, which the parcels in the blue are all the lots within Birdsong Meadows. There's also an adjacent parcel down there to the right that's also not a part of the subdivision. I believe this was kind of like a family trust that was split up at some time, and those 3 lots were left out of the subdivision. While rezoning, since they're not in the subdivision, they can just move those lot lines around by deed. They won't have to come back through the preliminary plat process. So when we analyze applications, we usually look at 3 things mainly: the 2030 master plan, the potential uses under RR zoning, and then the land use impacts to neighbors. As mentioned in the property information, the recommended land uses for this area are rural residential. Making both of these 3 acres aligns with that vision. The range of potential uses, it's only 6 acres, so the amount of agricultural uses they can do now is already extremely limited. So rezoning to RR is a less intense zoning district, so it would have far fewer impacts on neighboring property owners. And then we did an analysis of the notification area, which I believe is 2,000 feet. We found the median parcel size is 3.24 acres, so that would align with the surrounding property owners. So with that being said, this county staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of this rezoning application.
Any questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thomas H. Vogelgesang, 1019 Chapel Hill Drive, St. Peters, Missouri.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yes, so as the gentleman just spoke, we're just trying to get this property ready to have 2 3-acre lots instead of a 2-acre and a 4-acre.
The current house at 2367, does that ingress and egress off of Freymuth Road?
Yes, it does.
And then when you redo the property lines, where will that, let me call the back lot, where will that gain access?
At this present time, there is no legal access to it. As the gentleman stated, it is not part of the Birdsong subdivision.
Okay. But will it exit, my entrance, will it be off of Freymuth or onto Nightingale Court?
I guess to answer the question straight up, for right now, we would be saying it would be coming off of Freemouth.
Is there gonna be an easement or something there, or something? So when you're expanding it, are you gonna take it back? Are you bringing it, I don't know how else to say it.
It does look like it goes all the way to Freemouth Road.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, I think so too.
Anyone else have questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, we'll now open the public hearing for RZ 25-06. This is a rezoning request located at 2367 Frymouth Road. Anyone wishing to speak?
You come up to the front, ma'am. Ma'am, you'd come up to the front,
Come
to
up
the
here.
podium and speak.
Oh, that's okay. You can fill one out. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings with the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Dorothy Vogelji Sang, 2367 Freemouth Road, O'Fallon, Missouri.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
We do have an application in with the subdivision to get road access from Nightingale. That is the subdivision street.
Okay,
Okay?
So that's all I have to say.
thank you. Anyone else? Come forward. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings with the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Timothy Ferber, 1934 Nightingale Court, St. Paul, Missouri.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay, my only concern is the street Nightingale Court is owned and maintained by Birdsong Meadows. We pay for that. County has nothing to do with it. If this lot wants access to that road, I propose that they need to join the Birdsong Meadows Association with their appropriate assessments and abide by the bylaws.
Okay, well, that would be a decision outside of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Okay, they would have to, you would have to reach the property owner would have to reach an agreement with your homeowners association. Well, we cannot mandate that.
But do you just would you grant access to Nightingale Court
No, we can't
No,
do
we
that.
can't do that.
We can't do that.
without?
That's why I was asking that question, because that would have to be an agreement between your homeowners association and the property owner.
Okay.
And if you couldn't come to an agreement, then they would have to figure out a way of getting access onto Frymouth Road, which is public.
Right,
Right.
okay.
So, no, we're not forcing them to do anything.
I'm sorry.
We're not voting on or forcing them to do anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Anyone else wishing to speak? Good evening, Mr. Denoff.
Good evening.
You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings with the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C., A.C. Denoff, County Public Advocate. And I'm going to be in favor of this. It's a pretty easy split. I do have a couple concerns that I want to put on the public record. First of all, our planning staff recommends approval. It meets the minimum requirements for a private well and a private septic system. The 3.2 acres, 3 acres is the minimum requirement. I, however, have some issues, and Commissioner Bamer brought it up about the egress and easement for the access to the second property being recorded with the recorder of deeds. I would encourage the commission for future sales of property, and if I think there's a couple real estate agents up on the dais, it causes problems down the road. This may be a family trust or a family issue now, but when you sell it to somebody out in the public, if you have a landlocked piece of property, that's going to cause some legal issues and problems down the road. So I want to make sure that the land being created here, the additional parcel, the two parcels as a total, that there's no landlocked property. I think that's only the right thing to do. For those reasons, I'm in favor and encourage the commission to unanimously approve with a condition that there be an easement or an ingress to the second property being developed here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That's all. Anyone else? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Terry Ganley, James Ganley. I live at 1955 Nightingale Court, which is the property adjacent to the present 6-acre parcel to the west. Ours borders it on the west. And I just wanted to mention some things about this property that maybe you don't know. At the present time in Birdsong Meadows subdivision, there are 47 lots. 5 of them are on this little eastern portion which you just showed, which are on Nightingale Court, okay? We are separate from them both physically. You can't get there from where we are without going around on the main roads, Fremont and Eisenbath. We've always been fairly independent from them, and we've had some problems because they are constantly assessing us for fees to fix the roads, which we don't need because we don't have that much traffic. We do have need of repair on our road, which involves making the cul-de-sac wider, because right now vehicles can't make that curve without having their wheels drag over the back end of it. So we, as a group on our side, we decided that we would like to separate ourselves from Birdsong Meadows, and we would become Birdsong Meadows East or something like that, but we would be separate so that we could take care of our own road and make repairs that we need rather than ones that we don't need. And this has kind of come to a head now because Birdsong Meadows subdivision has been assessing fairly large fees, $500 per year, and they're going to do it up to $5,000 next year. So we'd like to get out before that happens so that we can, you know, we don't need this work done. We need something different done. So anyway, I talked to people here at the county zoning, and they advised me to get a lawyer to do that. And we discovered by looking at the bylaws, the way that we do that is that we get the vote of 51% of the people in the subdivision, then we can separate. And the lawyer said he knows how to do that and get the documents done. However, in the process of doing that, we discovered that the Birdsong Meadows Homeowners Association no longer exists. It was administratively dissolved by the state in 1922. So we can't go forward with this because there's nobody, you know, to work with in order to do this. We have to work through Birdsong Meadows Subdivision, Homeowners Association, but they no longer exist. Okay, I don't have any objection to what happens. I think making that 3 acres and so on is okay with me. But I think people need to know that we're trying to separate ourselves from the main subdivision because we want to take care of our own roads and make our dollars that we pay in homeowner association fees work for us rather than work to fix potholes in an area where there's a lot more traffic and so on. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing for RZ 25-06. Ask the applicant to come back. Anyone have any questions, additional questions for the applicant? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. We'll now bring RZ 25-06, which is a rezoning request located at 2367 Fryemuth Road, to the commission for consideration.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Hold on. Go sheets. Okay, motion's been made and seconded, oh, you've already got it down here, Jared, you're ahead of me. Motion been made and seconded to approve RZ 25-06, which is a zoning map amendment request located at 2367 Fryemuth Road. Mr. Shell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
Ms. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Bamer?
Yes.
And I vote yes, it passes. Okay. Now I'll get back to my agenda. Next thing on our agenda is a zoning map amendment request located at 57 West O'Fallon Drive. Application RZ 25-07. The property owner is Betty J. Cood. The applicant is Don Rothermich. Current zoning is R1B, Single Family Residential District. Proposed zoning is C2, General Commercial District. The 2030 Master Plan recommends commercial land uses. The rezoning area consists of 1.1 acres. Location is 57 West O'Fallon Drive on the southwest corner of Veterans Memorial Parkway and West O'Fallon Drive, adjacent to the cities of O'Fallon and Lake St. Louis. This is located in Council District 4. Staff.
Good evening, everybody. As Mr. Ellis stated, this rezoning request is to change the zoning from R1B, that's a single-family residential district, to C2, General Commercial District. The objective of this application, the applicant, as I understand, is to market the property as commercial, vice residential as it stands now. Can we get the aerial imagery up in the back? You guys, yeah. So the location, as you said, 57 West O'Fallon. So we're right there on the southwest corner of West O'Fallon Drive and Veterans Memorial Parkway. Let's see here. Letters were sent out to property owners within 1,000 feet. We actually received 4 letters of opposition from property owners and no responses from agencies. Brief history: in 1959, when the county enacted zoning, it was zoned ag and then rezoned to R1B in 1973. The single-family home that's on this parcel now was built in 1967 and now is vacant. The surrounding land use: to the north, you see Veterans Memorial, the arterial, and then Highway 70, or interstate rather. And across 70, we have industrial uses from the city of O'Fallon. Just there to the west, just immediately adjacent to the west here, there's another single-family home. That parcel's actually zoned C2. It was rezoned from R1B to C2 in the early 80s. Just to the west of that is self-storage and used car sales. To the east is the city of O'Fallon. That parcel that's right there is actually just got approved by the city of O'Fallon to be a senior living facility under development at this time. And to the east of that parcel is apartments owned by the city of O'Fallon. And then directly south we have 2 single-family residences. These parcels are zoned R1B currently, and then O'Fallon Hill subdivision is just south of that in unincorporated St. Charles County. This parcel here is served by Public Water Supply District 2 for water and sewer. As you stated, Mr. Ellis, master plan, the future land use plan is kind of a framework of how we want the development to go in the county, and it recommends commercial land uses on this parcel. The intent of the C2 General Commercial District is to provide locations for businesses that serve a large community trade area with regulations designed to support operations catering to the general public. So rezoning from low-density residential to a commercial is going to provide a broader range of retail service, office opportunities at this location. Site's location is well suited for commercial activity due to the access off the major roadways there and the high visibility from the interstate. And it has the ability to serve the adjacent surrounding land uses, including the senior living facility. The impacts to the surrounding landowners will be addressed by any new use that is proposed, or if the house gets transitioned to a new use through site plan approval. And administratively, we'll make sure that all of the regulations are being adhered to, so things such as lighting, screening requirements, like screening trash cans, and landscaping buffers from the surrounding landowners, especially those to the south. Staff also recognizes that these R1B parcels to the south could possibly be rezoned to commercial in the future. So West O'Fallon Drive, as it's maintained by the county, may require improvements in the future just to support higher traffic volumes and ensure safety of residents going in and out of West O'Fallon, especially down to the southern subdivision there in O'Fallon Hill subdivision. As it conforms to the 2030 master plan and compatible with surrounding land uses, county staff recommends approval of this rezoning.
Any questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Don Rothernick, 820 Woodside Lane, St. Charles, Missouri.
Go ahead, Don.
So I'm the agent that is representing Ms. Good, and was my opinion when I met with her that it would be a more marketable piece of land as a commercial property. And so she actually thought at first that it was zoned commercial. After some research, it was not. And so she asked me to submit the application for her so that we can list it as a commercial property.
So just for resale, that's the only reason is for resale value?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
just a resale. She has moved into like a retirement village. So.
How long has the building or the house been unoccupied? Do you know?
She moved, I believe it's about 3 months ago.
So she hadn't tried to sell it as a house yet?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yeah.
And this house is vacant, right?
Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
We'll now open the public hearing for RZ 25-07, which is a rezoning request for property located at 57 West O'Fallon Drive. Anyone wishing to speak?
You come up here, man.
You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Ashley Lewis, 53 West O'Fallon, O'Fallon, Missouri, 63366.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Without having, I was one of the letters that wrote in opposition for the rezoning. I think the rezoning is premature without having listed the property as for sale as a house. There are a lot of additional impacts that can happen to the other 4 parcels that are behind it, that if we rezone the commercial corner, or if we rezone the parcel in the corner to commercial, that the other 4 intended commercial uses in 2030 can remain residential, and then we're isolated and blocked in by commercial frontage, a senior living development, and a subdivision, all of which have a single ingress and egress, which is West O'Fallon Drive. We already experience a really high volume of traffic down that road. We've got an accident that happened yesterday, so it blocks off the corner. People try and divert through, so it impacts the safety of like our kids playing in the front yard. And without a proposed site plan or any general plan amendment currently in the place, there is, in my opinion, no reason to prematurely rezone the property, because without a buyer, we don't even know what their use is. So they could not want C2, so we've rezoned for no reason and then come back to the council to do this again in front of you guys with a different intent altogether. So I don't think that there should be rezoning until there's actually an intent for the property.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak? You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C., AC Dinoff, County Public Advocate. Mailing address, P.O. Box 1535 in O'Fallon. And I'm in favor of the rezoning of 1.10 acres. The surrounding uses are commercial between the city of O'Fallon and the city of Lake St. Louis on the northern side of Veterans Memorial Parkway. To the east of this parcel is high-density apartments and senior living community that are being built. Residents bring the need for community services. This is frontage property, which in my opinion should be commercial on a very busy traffic on Veterans Memorial Parkway. As you all know, we need to have the separation and balance of commercial to serve the residents and then residential. Veterans Memorial Parkway is a highway owned by MoDOT, Missouri Department of Transportation, and therefore I feel that these parcels are going to turn eventually to commercial and business related or office related type complexes. Our 2030 County Comprehensive Land Use and Zoning Plan call for commercial of this property. The Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation is approval to the Commission. I also believe highly in the property owner rights and the desire for the highest yield and value of one's property. This is just the first step for the residents. There are other guarantees in our county charter and our county codified ordinances that would require, after the approval of zoning, once this is sold and there's a plan to come forward, they'd have to come forward for the Planning and Zoning Commission for preliminary approval and possible a CUP, conditional use permit, depending on what type of business would be asked for. So there are those provisions and those requirements to guarantee that residents and property values are being adhered to. I believe in the highest yield of value of property to one's ownership. The assessed value will increase from 18% on an annual basis to 32%. I think this is a win-win for the community and for our county for the unincorporated pocket, and therefore I would encourage the commission for unanimous approval and recommendation of the county council. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak regarding RZ 25-07? Anyone? Seeing no one? You can fill one. You can fill one out. You have to come up all the way up here.
This is a quiet.
Oh, nope, wait a minute, I have to swear you.
I've lived in
ma'am,
O'Fallon Hills. I'm sorry.
You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address. for the
Charlotte
record.
Wigert, One Park Circle, in
Okay.
O'Fallon Hills.
Okay.
I've lived there since 1979. For some reason, we now, I think because we have affordable housing, we have many, many children. So I don't know if these people live close to there, have a home near there. We have no sidewalks because we're unincorporated. And we don't have enough streetlights because we're unincorporated. We don't have a regular police patrol, but they come when we call because we're unincorporated. So if they're going to put all these, do you know what's going on in that commercial building? What they're going to build there yet?
No,
Okay.
that's not part of the issue.
Okay. Well, you know, if they're going to approve of this commercially, somebody needs to think about the residents who already live there. And there's a house right there between that whole acre. I think they need to give some consideration to those people that live. There's the city limits comes back for quite a bit, I guess where that acre ends. And then it goes into unincorporated. So we have right now people driving in and out of the neighborhood who just sit there on our streets. And sometimes they're kind of rowdy at night. So I am concerned about the young people, the children, what's going to go in there. I hope it's not going to be a tavern or a bar or a marijuana store or something that's going to pull in undesirable noise and things that would be would not be fit into a family environment. I hope it's going to fit into a family environment because we already have enough traffic that comes in there because I think part of the reason is because we are unincorporated. So I just want to say I hope they give consideration to the fact that hundreds of children live in that neighborhood. School buses are going to go through here. You're going to have traffic coming from the apartments, and then I don't know where the traffic's going to route in and out of there, if it's going to route to the service road or to inside our neighborhood. But I just hope they get consideration to the everything behind it is a residential area, which doesn't have right now some things that it does need. I don't know if, and so I hope they will take into consideration if they make this commercial, that they will take into consideration the many, many children that walk along the road there, and the residents who ride their bikes there, and that this wouldn't be an area where there'd be more of a noise violation or a curfew violation going on at night. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak regarding RZ 25-07? Seeing none, we'll ask the applicant to come back. Anyone have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Baker's finger go up now.
No, I was looking at this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The chair will bring RZ 25-07 back to the commission for consideration. There's any comments, questions for staff? Hearing none, chair will entertain a motion to approve application RZ 25-07, which is a rezoning request located at 57 West O'Fallon Drive. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Shell, second. Mr. Fromm, how do you vote?
No.
Ms. Barr?
Yes.
Ms. Bamer?
No.
Mr. Shell?
Yes.
Where am I at? Mr. Baker?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So application passes.
Is it ever going to stop?
Okay. Next on the agenda is a preliminary plat for Lauderdale re-subdivision. This is application PRE 25-07. Property owners are Della Sue Lauderdale, John Lauderdale Jr., Dan Lauderdale, Tom Howard, and Kelly Lauderdale. The surveyors is Bax Engineering. The current zoning is A Agricultural District and RR Single Family Residential District. Current lots are 8 lots totaling 21.1 acres in Lauderdale Estates Plat 1, the crossings at Lauderdale Estates, and the enclave at Lauderdale Estates subdivision. Proposed lots are 7 lots totaling 22.25 acres. Huh?
No, she's proposed lots.
Yeah.
He's reading
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah. Proposed lots are 7 lots totaling 22.25 acres in Lauderdale re-subdivision plat. The location is Lauderdale Lane, located in the southwest corner of Lauderdale Lane and Highway Double D. This is located in Council District 2. Staff.
So I got another presentation. Hopefully I can help make a little bit of sense of this. So, as you mentioned, there's 5 property owners that are involved in this application. And the zoning ranges from A agricultural district to RR single family residential district. I realize now that there's a bit of a mistake on the current lots there. So,
Which one's right?
Yep, is it 8 or 7?
well, so that's what I'm trying, I believe it's 6 lots totaling 18.8 within the current 3 subdivisions.
Wow.
And then the proposed lots, which includes 2 lots that front Highway DD, that comes to 22.29 acres. So it'll make sense here in a second, hopefully. It might be a little hard to read. Here's a kind of a breakdown of what's going on. It's really just moving lot lines around. They're actually removing Lot 4 of Lauderdale Estates Plat 1. So this is the existing layout. I tried as best I could to visualize it. Outlot B and Outlot A, those are the 2 lots that are outside of the subdivisions on Highway DD. I believe it's the intent of the applicant to keep those in some ways out of the subdivision, not maybe beholden to the restrictions and covenants. Also, you'll see Lauderdale Lane that goes east to west that's coming down. They're applying for that, or petitioning for that to be vacated along with various utility easements. And then the proposed layout looks something like this, which essentially we're making Outlot B and Outlot A larger and, more prone to development, I would say. 3 acres is the minimum for septic, so now Outlot A goes from 0.57 acres to 3 acres. Outlot B goes up 2 acres to 4 acres. And then Lot 4 is now removed. And they can kind of shift all this around with the right-of-way, contingent on the right-of-way being vacated. So in terms of utilities, they're not in a sanitary sewer service area. And because of this, 6 Lauderdale Lane, 1203 Highway DD, and 1231 Highway DD, they'll have to make sure that the existing septic systems remain on their lots when they do this lot line shift. Public water, it's within the Public Water Supply District number 2 district. Section 410, 430 requires connection to public water when it's reasonably accessible. When looking at the crossings at Lauderdale Estates, when that was platted, its lots were going to be served by Public Water Supply District number 2. So because of this, if there's any future development on the 2, or on any lots really, they must connect into the public water system, provided that the connection is reasonably accessible and practical. Since this is a re-subdivision plat, the private covenants come into play. Section 410-60C1 of the UDO allows the commission to consider private covenants, even though they're private agreements between private parties. Like I think I said before, this is kind of pertinent to like if someone's going to be sharing a roadway. The way I understand it, both outlots have access to Highway DD, so there's no other connection from Lauderdale Lane, so I'm not sure how much that applies here. But given the complexity of the lots are shifting and removing, they may not want the 2 outlots, as they call them, to be subject to the same restrictions and covenants as the rest of the subdivision. So, with all that being said, county staff advises that the proposed plat meets the technical requirements of Chapter 410. But I do want to note, the Planning and Zoning Division Director cannot sign the plat until the utility easements in the right-of-way have gone before council and received a favorable vote to be vacated. Because if that's not vacated, some of that land is not available and kind of complicates things. So, that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for staff? Hearing none, ask the applicant to come forward. You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Dan Lauderdale, and my address is 901 Lindemark Drive, Wentzville, Missouri, 63385.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
This is just a boundary adjustment. I originally had put together the crossings at Lauderdale Estates ran it through the council. The 4 lots that were around the lake, my grandfather originally did back in 1983. So there was an image up there, and it showed an extension of Lauderdale Lane, the ROW, to be vacated. That's actually not in non-existence, so lot number 4 doesn't actually have access at this point. Outlot number B was purchased, and now we access lot number 4 that way. We wanted to do some upgrades to septic and such on outlot number A, but we couldn't do that because of our size, so we wanted to do adjustments. We did create some other boundary adjustments because there is a lake on this map that's not actually here. So the lot lines didn't lay like in the fingers or in proper spots. My grandmother's house is on the property, and one of the boundary lines came right behind the gazebo, which didn't really make sense, so we just took care of everything at the same time. All of it is serviced through Public Water District number 2 already, so there's no need to reconnect later because we're already there. And then we all have our own septics.
Okay. The issue about the lot, with the outlot A and B not being part of Lauderdale Estates.
That's okay. We have access off of Highway DD to both of them.
Okay.
So lot number 4 actually will come out of, it'll be vacated along with the right-of-way and the utility easements, and then turned into these 2, Outlet A and Outlet B. So Outlet B, the parcel that we're vacating, it was a part of the original Lauderdale Estates. Again, those indentures were put together in '83. They're pretty basic. I actually have ownership or control of all of them around the lake, so if I have to vote for anything, I could do that.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, Dan, remind me, B and A already have existing residents there, right?
They do.
And so the access to Highway Double D is already there?
Yes.
There's residents already there? I just want to, that's why I thought, I just want to make sure.
No, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Hearing none? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll now open the public hearing for PRE 25-07. Anyone wishing to speak? You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff, County Public Advocate, mailing address P.O. Box 1535 in O'Fallon. I'm in favor of this proposal. This is basically cleaning up lines of lots to make it more conducive to the lake and other amenities of the subdivision. This request and application meets the minimum required amount of acres, 3 acres for septic systems. As you all know, it's Public Water District number 2 supplies the public water. Staff recommends approval for this re-subdivision. They're decreasing the amount of homes from 8 to 7, or 7 lots, and cleaning up the boundary lines. I would like to see the commission unanimously approve this recommendation to the full county council. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone? Hearing no one, we'll close the public hearing for PRE 25-07. Anyone have any additional questions for the applicant? Hearing none. Bring PRE 25-07, which is a preliminary plat for Lauderdale re-subdivision, back to the commission for consideration.
Motion to approve.
Hold on. Jared, would you put back up your very last slide? Keep going, keep going. Okay, so the chair will entertain a motion to approve PRE 25-07, which is a preliminary plat for Lauderdale re-subdivision, subject to the stipulation that the Planning and Zoning Division Director cannot sign the plat before the County Council vacates the undeveloped street and utility easements. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion's been made by Mr. Shell. Is there a second?
Second.
second by Ms. Barr. Ms. Bamer, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Shell?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, now, back to the agenda. Okay, next on our agenda is a preliminary plat for 4639 Central School Road. The application is PRE 25-08. Property owner is Croak Park Group LLC. The surveyor is Fraser Land Surveying Services Incorporated, Dennis Fraser. The current zoning is R3A Minimum Density Residential District. Proposed lots are 10 condominiums on one lot. That lot consisting of on one lot. Parcel size is 2.14 acres, which is a density factor of 4.67 dwellings per acre. The location is 4639 Central School Road, 500 feet west of the intersection of Kisker Road and Central School Road near the city of St. Peters. This is located in Council District 7. Staff.
All right, I got one final PowerPoint presentation for everyone, so.
We like them.
Thank you.
We do.
The applicant's request, this is the plat, condo plat that was submitted, is 10 condominiums on 2.14 acres on one lot. So basically, there's some kind of document that gets recorded that basically says someone will own the interior of the condo, and then the rest will be maintained by a condominium association. So there's no actual splitting of lots taking place here. The surrounding land use, it's adjacent to the city of St. Peters. It's actually just north of Highway 364. So it's hard to see here, but to the west you have the Hunter Point subdivision, which is an unincorporated county. To the north and east is the Hemmer Residence and Hemmer Concrete, also an unincorporated county. And then to the south is the Triad South Industrial Park, which is a part of the city of St. Peters. You might remember this property. It happened during the meeting we had at the Family Arena in 2023. They rezoned from R1E to R3A, and the county council approved that in July of 2023. In terms of utilities, the site is served by Missouri American Water and Duckett Creek. There's currently a sanitary sewer line that will be extended under Central School Road to serve this proposed development. The water main is actually located on the northern side of Central School Road, so it doesn't need to go under the road or anything like that. We did send comments or notification to agencies. The only response we received was from Cottleville Fire Protection District, which they clarified the minimum fire flow per minute that would be required for this type of development. I believe currently they have 2 fire hydrants, and Cottleville said that 3 would be required, so that's something that they'll need to provide on the preliminary plat. There is one at the intersection of Central School Road and Mosser Place, which I'll talk about the transportation and access here in a second. So the way this is oriented, going north and south is the internal subdivision street. So that's the one that's terminating at the northern property line. To our understanding, both streets are going to remain private. That doesn't matter. The road still has to be constructed up to public county standards. The only difference is the homeowners association will be responsible for the upkeep of the road. The road going east and west, it's 26 foot wide, so it's effectively a street, but it's, for the terms of technicalities, it's a front-loading alley. So technically all these lots, or all these condos take access off the internal subdivision street that runs north and south. There's a couple things I do want to point out. Since it's going to remain private, it can be, the homeowners association will have to approve any kind of connection, future connection to the north, since it won't be public. And then that can either, they could allow full access, or they could presumably put up some kind of barrier that prevents people from using that street. There is no dedicated turnaround. I know we went through a couple revisions in working with the applicant, but operationally that can be a challenge for delivery trucks, trash trucks. and stuff like that. But the fire district didn't make note of that in any of their comments to us when they sent those. In terms of stormwater and water quality standards, detention isn't required based on the size and scope of this project, as I understand it. But they are showing like a little detention area on the southwestern part of the development that's going to kind of collect water and slow it down and clean it up a little bit before it goes off to stormwater facilities. They're also showing a downstream defender and riprap blankets. To explain those a little bit, a downstream defender is basically this underground treatment system where the water swirls around and all the pollutants and sediments and stuff comes out, and then the clean water flows off into storm sewers. The riprap blankets, they're made of large stones placed over a filter fabric, and they prevent erosion on slopes, and they help slow down water flow and stabilize soil to prevent basically any kind of washout from heavy storm events. With that being said, county staff advises that the proposed plat meets the technical requirements of Chapter 410 of the county code.
Any questions for staff?
Yeah, I'm really shocked that Cottleville didn't mention anything about the no cul-de-sac on this. And just, I didn't support the rezoning of this property back in 2023, and I can guarantee you when it rains, I'm gonna get the call about the drainage downstream. I know detention is probably not required because it's less than 1 CFS differential, but this still gonna, that water's gonna get there faster, and it's gonna hit those people a lot pretty sure, so I can't support this.
Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, we will open a public hearing for PRE 25-08, which is a preliminary plat for 4639 Central School Road. Anyone wishing to speak?
Roger, do you want the applicant to come up?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Baker threw me off. Ask the applicant to come first.
Guess we could have done it.
You solemnly swear or affirm that you tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings and the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Gary Kimball, 4053D North St. Peters Parkway in St. Peters.
Go ahead, sir.
Your comment about the drainage. The drainage that's coming off of this will be coming out of our area and flow down through an existing area that's already catching the water that's coming off of this property. We're not increasing the runoff.
There you are.
Well, not really, because I'm using the area that he called for as a detention area. It's really not a detention area. I have a grass swale across the back, which actually lowers the amount of water that will flow through that system. It's part of the calculations that they make us do for detention. But that water is going all the way down through the property, all the way to another lake, to a pond. There's no people that are going to be in the way of that water. It goes through an open field down to a pond down below. So then, as far as the turnaround, we've tried to do a hammerhead at that end, but then we were told that the hammerhead had to go all the way up against the property line per your ordinance. Well, we didn't figure that would be nice to the people that have the subdivision behind us to have a street up against their back property line. So that's why we ended up with the north road. And that's where we designed that so that the turnaround for the fire, their code, they said if they could back up 150 feet and get their hammerhead that way, then they were satisfied.
So you did meet with the fire department on this then?
I've talked with them, yes, before, prior to this.
All right. Why are you stubbing that street? The one that's going...
To the north?
I don't know if that...
Yeah, it's set north.
Okay, well then why are you stubbing that
Well,
street?
what we had originally is we had that turned in and just a short stub for their required fire department turnaround for a hammerhead.
No. the street if you come off Central School.
And go straight.
Go straight.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. The site doesn't work for a cul-de-sac. A cul-de-sac would be too large, and the property drops off from up at Central School Road to the back is over 25 feet. So putting a cul-de-sac in that back corner just doesn't
Why
work.
is there a street there at all?
So in order to comply with the subdivision regulations, they either have to have a cul-de-sac or stub a street. So in order,
Can you put that,
yeah.
put that back up?
So if they could have petitioned to do like a hammerhead or some kind of alternative, but that they would have had to get council approval to vary from the subdivision regulations, if that makes sense. So,
Have to have a variance.
so the subdivision regulations either require a cul-de-sac or stubbing the street.
And I get that, I get that the street that's going, if this is true north, going east and west.
Yeah, that's basically the driveway.
Right, but why is that, I'm not seeing why why it's a code issue with the street going.
Is it for turnaround for fire trucks?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
if the
'cause they
fire
can
trucks
back
go
up.
down here, they have to be able to back
Yeah,
up so
have
they
to
can
back
come.
up and back, and then come back out.
So they're not
They
backing.
pull in, go this way, then come back out,
Yeah.
back
But
up, and then come
could you
down.
shift the buildings further to the east and add the hammerhead on the central school side and not towards those residents?
That's what I had before, with the hammerhead here and this road not here. But this hammerhead per code had to come all the way to the property line, which this is residential back here. So
Quiet, please.
that's why we don't want to do this. That's
Well,
what-
I mean, you still have to have setbacks and everything else that's required, so, I mean,
Well,
even if.
according,
even if-
right, but according to the code, that this has to attach to the end of the property line for future extension because we don't have an extension out any other way.
I mean, but you could seek a variance on something like that, though.
Well, we can, but I don't think that the neighbors would like that hammerhead in their backyard.
Well, but, I mean, does if you shifted the buildings all to the east, could you still get a cul-de-sac in there?
No, not built to county code, no. The radiuses are too large. I would end up losing 2 of the 3 buildings in that northern place.
Is the concern that you wouldn't want another subdivision built
Well,
behind it?
I mean,
or-
it's St. Peter's, they can, but I guess for a turnaround, I guess, but that just seems a little odd to me, but it's really odd to me that Cottleville Fire didn't have an issue with that. What about trash trucks? I mean, trash trucks are gonna just do the same thing, gonna have to back up?
That's up to the owner on how they want to do that, whether they want to put a dumpster somewhere or if they want to have a collection area off on one side. Otherwise they have to pull in and back out.
Any other questions for the applicant? Hearing none? Anything, you have anything else that you
Nope,
want to
that
cover?
was it.
I'm sorry.
Nope, that was it.
Okay, thanks, sir.
All right.
Now we'll open the public hearing for PRE 25-08. Anyone wishing to speak?
So my name is Robert
Hello,
Lively.
sir.
Oh, yes, and I'm going to
Did you
pledge
s-
of allegiance.
You solemnly swear or affirmly to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Robert Lively, 124 Hunters Point.
Go ahead, sir.
So I am one of the homes right behind the property, right at the edge of it. And I'm a pharmacist, I'm not an engineer, but when something is up and you are below it, water drains your direction. So you don't have to be an engineer to be aware of that. That property is slightly elevated above our subdivision, and water does come down from that. And when they develop a subdivision in there, the concrete and all that will make water flow a little bit faster. he said that the water flow will go to a lake. Well, if it follows the back of their property, along our property line, it goes to our subdivision lake. So what body of water is he saying his water will go to? I don't understand that. So currently, and we had a biblical rain, it wasn't very long ago, our subdivision really encountered a lot of problems from that gush of water that came down. Well, this will additionally add to any rain that we have in the back of our subdivision and cause problems. So the question I have is, what is the flow in the back of the subdivision that's going to be coming our direction towards our lake and our sewer system, our waterway? Is this a different waterway that he's talking about in a different lake? That is the question I have. You know, where's this water going to go? Is it going into our subdivision? And I'm one of the 3 houses that borders this property right before the Hammer property. So it's going to whip into my backyard. Hopefully my dogs won't be caught in it and whip out of my yard. But I'm only joking about that. They could make it back in. So that's the question we have, is that property is above us. Currently, the water does come down. What is his plan for the channel to, where is that going to go? Is it going into our subdivision and into our body of water at the bottom, or is it going out some other direction? So that's the question.
Thanks, sir.
That's all I have.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone?
Yeah, you can mitigate it though. You build it right.
You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings on the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C., AC Dinoff, County Public Advocate, mailing address P.O. Box 1535 in O'Fallon. I'm not going to take a stance either yes or for this proposal. I'm going to stay neutral on my recommendation. A couple things going through, and I'd like the commissioners to add some conditions to this property to protect everybody involved. The tree preservation minimum requirement is being met. The stormwater quality standards, I have some issues along with Councilman Baker that he stated for the record. I want to ensure that M4 county and state regulations for the protection of runoff to adjoining property owners is being fully adhered to. This property consists of 2 3-unit buildings and 2 2-unit buildings for 10 condominiums on the property. The construction of an interior street that's of concern to me. Number 1 is public safety access for fire engines, ladder trucks, and ambulances. I think that needs to be a number 1 priority. That's what government is all about, is about the protection of health, safety, and welfare of all residents. And I think that there needs to be amenities to make sure that the turning radius is there for those first responding apparatus. We don't want to have them backed up or having issues or issues to hydrants. The second one is staff did not bring up a letter dated May 28th, 2025, drafted by Jen Simpson, the Director of Transportation for the Francis Howell School District Transportation Department. That letter entailed that it requires a minimum turning radius of 52 feet with no center islands. And so state regulations say that if they can avoid not having pickups within a subdivision, that's required. But because this is a busy road, I think that they would have to, for the safety of the children, have that 52-foot turning radius. So therefore, I think that the commission needs to address this in a condition. I think that for the commission to allow this to go without being addressed would be reckless and not protecting the county code or the attributes to neighborhood enhancements. So public safety and school children, I think, need to be your priority and focus here. And so I ask that you address this in this condition. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone? Okay, we will close the public hearing for PRE 25-08. Ask the applicant to come back. Any questions for the applicant? Can you address this gentleman's concern
Yes.
about which way the
Yes.
water is going to flow?
As far as the survey that I have, the property of these people that board that, their property actually comes down to our property. And this property slopes along with their property. We are actually creating our property to run to meet with theirs and run down the property lines. So there will be none of our water coming onto you.
Okay, so, yeah, speak to us.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, none of our water will be getting onto them. All our water is being captured in storm sewer system itself. The only water that would be not caught would be common ground area, which is grass. Everything else is being caught by a storm system and put into one central location at the back of our property at the low point that continues on south. And the lake that I was describing is the one that is located behind Hemmert's property or on Hemmert's property to the north.
Okay, not the lake in subdivision?
No. It is not going into any of their storm system. And then as far as the gentleman asked about a cul-de-sac for children and bus pickups, I live on Central School Road, and the newest subdivision just north of theirs that was put in has a cul-de-sac up there, but all the kids are picked up off of Central School Road every morning.
Any other questions for the applicant? Hearing none, thank you, sir. We'll now bring PRE 25-08, which is back up here, preliminary plat for 4639 Central School Road. Any questions, comments, concerns, questions for staff? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
I actually do. Do you agree with his assessment about the water, that it's not gonna hit those subdivisions?
Yeah, I'll let Robert.
If you look at the topography of the lot, it's kind of, there's a slight ridge in the middle of it.
Yep.
It goes diagonally across this way. So some of the water flows towards the southeast and some of the water flows towards the southwest. If you look at their grading, they're not really grading on the lot other than at the western end, really. So I guess, put it this way, roughly, I could get you a more exact number, but to me, it looks like about half the water is going right now towards the northwest, towards some of the folks who spoke here tonight. About half the water's right now going southeast. So it's not that the entire subdivision will be moving towards the northwest and adding that way. Some of the water is going to be going towards Central School Road.
I mean, if I'm on Kisker and make a left on Central School Road, which I travel quite a bit, I'm going uphill.
Yes, coming down that way.
Yeah, I'm going, if I'm heading west, I'm going uphill.
Yeah, that property's raised though up there.
Yeah, the lowest point at the southeast corner of this parcel is about 510 feet above mean sea level. And then once you get to the center of the parcel, it's at about 518. And then it goes down somewhat, I can't remember the exact numbers, towards the northwest. But I'm not trying to say that there won't be more water flowing. It's just that not all of the water will be going towards the northwest. Some of it will continue going to the southeast. I don't know if that makes any difference or not.
Is there a berm though to make that water not go on? Because we have regulations
Yeah.
about not sending additional water onto other people's property, right? You can allow less than one.
Right. Now, our regulations specify if there's an additional runoff, as Tim knows, of so many cubic feet, then it does trigger the detention requirements. So they're not proposing stormwater detention, but they are proposing stormwater quality management. In other words, cleaning up the stormwater before it leaves the site.
But one thing to keep in mind too is detention is one issue, but the other issue is the water is getting off the site a lot quicker than it is now. So, and what's gonna happen is it's gonna rain, and then after a few events, erosion is gonna happen, and I'm gonna start getting the phone calls. So I just can't support this. I think the property's too small for this type of development. I felt that in '23, and I feel that now.
So can you bring up, I mean, since we're asking about it, can you bring up the actual subdivision preliminary plat that they have in our packet?
Yeah.
And I want you to show us where that water supposedly is going to go, because I'm looking at the 500 foot and the 496 to the back. And it's going to have block wall and metal fencing and all that good stuff. So back in that left up corner right there,
Yeah.
you're saying half of that water is going to flow that way, and the rest of it's going to head towards Central School Road. Is that correct?
Yes,
They're bringing it up there. Yeah, well, I'm the tell. Yeah, I mean, you can come up. I mean, do you know? Do you know the
Yeah.
answer?
So, behind these first ones that are next to Central School Road,
Mm-hmm.
that water is going to be collected in that swale that's behind there. So it will not go to Central School Road. It will go around into that inlet that's there. That inlet picks it up and then takes it to the south end of the property. From the intersection of the two roads there, from there down to the middle of the first building there, all of that water is going towards Central School Road.
Okay.
The rest of it, the water from that high point at the intersection, that road is going downhill to meet Hemmert's property there to the north. There's also an inlet there that will pick up water off of there to prevent water from getting onto Hemmert's property and drain it back down to another area where the riprap, where it'll combine in the low point of our property and continue flow out its normal.
Is there a reason they didn't put the water quality structure in the northwest corner instead of where they're showing it? Where those two flared ends meet, that just seems like the logical place to try to address it. I mean, you know, with catching that water off that street that I was talking about earlier, that water's gonna be getting there a lot faster than that's happening now.
Well, with the downstream defender, it doesn't,
It's not even going to the downstream defender.
the water that's on that external road does not. Because we're only required to do so many cubic feet of water for water quality. And that's based on the size and the increase of water that we create. So the downstream defender is designed to accommodate for that much water quality that we're required to do.
Now, where's the discharge from the gutters going?
It's all going to be discharged at grade, at the ground.
At ground?
Yeah, none of it will be piped.
Because you're not gonna have a lot of grass area.
Everything that you see that doesn't have is going to be all grass. It's going to be all grass, and the only thing is just a small little porch, small little patios on the back.
I mean, it's big, it's pretty big lot, though.
Okay.
There's 2 acres.
Any other questions? Anybody?
Yeah, I got a quick question. So, as we're looking at this here, it talks about how, you know, any new residential developments must meet the county stormwater detention and water quality standards. And we mentioned that you don't have to meet detention standards. And the reason is because there's not enough additional water to require that, correct?
Yes.
So we're talking about there being all of this additional water. My assumption is that, you know, this is why we have rules and we have technical requirements. If there was a significant amount of additional water, they would have required more detention. The fact that it's not required means that, at least according to the county and the way that they're looking at it, it's not going to be a significant problem. And that this, what the rules are requiring with the riprap blankets and such, should be enough to not cause a problem. I mean, that's why we have the rules in place, correct?
I guess, I don't know.
Well, the rules are, I think it's really because if for a lot of small lots, you know, like if you build one lot on a 15,000 square foot lot, you're not gonna have a detention basin. I mean, but the problem is still, as I see it, is that water is getting to that northwest corner a lot quicker than it is now. So, yeah, it may not meet the threshold, but if we have 6 or 7 of these properties that don't, let's say they add 0.5 CFS, cubic feet per second of water, then it starts to add up. And that's what I get the regulations, I get why 1 CFS is the threshold, but the problem, I think, is twofold. It's how fast that water is getting there is a lot quicker now. There is added water. I mean, just with the rooftops, the driveways, the patios, the street. I mean, to say there's not, that's absurd. But this is going to be a problem that I think I'm going to have to deal with if it gets constructed. So.
And then my other question is, my understanding is that as a Planning and Zoning Commission, with these preliminary plat plans, we're really just supposed to decide, does it or does it not meet the technical requirements? Now, when it goes to the county council, they have more of an opinion and a choice, but we are just supposed to be yes or no, it does or doesn't meet it, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, sir. We've closed the public hearing. Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the preliminary plat for located at 4639 Central School Road. The proposed lots is 10 condominiums on one lot. The lot size is 2.14 acres. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Fromm made the second. Mr. Shell, how do you vote?
No.
Ms. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
No.
Ms. Bamer?
No.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
Where am I at? And I vote yes.
Fails.
So we are at a tie.
Yeah, it's not passed. It's a
Fail, yeah.
it's a denial. It's
Yeah.
a recommendation of denial to go to the council.
Okay.
Then at that point.
Okay. So the council will hear this on
July 14th.
July 14th.
July 14th meeting, Monday, July 14th, right back in this room.
Gotcha.
Okay, agenda. Okay. Next on our agenda is a conditional use permit amendment at Peru Creek Road. Application is CUP 25-05, amending CUP number CUP 631. Property owner is Huber Steiniger Properties LLC. The applicant is Cochran Engineering. Current zoning is agricultural district with floodway fringe overlay districts. The current land use is topsoil extraction operation. The conditional use request amends CUP 631 to expand an existing topsoil extraction operation. CUP area consisting of 41.53 acres. The proposed new area is 127.06 acres. The location is Peru Creek Road, 650 feet north of the intersection of Highway 79 and Peru Creek Road. This is located in Council District 1. Staff.
Yes, sir. As you stated, this request is to amend the CUP Charlie 631 to expand the topsoil extraction area from 41.53 acres to 127.06 acres. Notification letters were sent out to property owners within 2,000 feet, 0 responses, and 0 responses from agencies. Gentlemen, can we get the aerial photo on the screen? Appreciate the work you're doing back there. Currently, this site's zoned A agriculture with floodway and floodway fringe overlays. There's one structure on the property right there in the dead center that you can see with the topsoil mounds and all the equipment stashed in there as well. The review standard for a CUP amendment is to see if it's consistent with the content and the purpose of the original CUP. In the agricultural district, topsoil extraction is surprisingly not a permissive use, but a conditional use. Section 405-80, Charlie 14 states the extraction, quarrying, or mining of sand, gravel, topsoil, or other materials. So is a conditional use, so kind of falls into that bin, surprisingly. The original CUP permitted topsoil extraction within a defined area of the 41.53 acres, and this was back in 2004. They established 3 main conditions. A site plan must be submitted and approved by St. Charles County Community Development Department. A St. Charles County floodplain development permit will be required, subject to any state or federal permits that may also be required. And the equipment and storage for this operation must be located outside the floodway overlay district. So important to note with this application for the amendment, there's no new uses or methods being proposed, just simply expanding his extraction area. So you can see in the aerial, he's doing extraction on his north properties there, and the bottom property here, this parcel that Jared's highlighting here, is where he's expanding. The site plan at this time shows all the trees that are existing are staying in place with this application here. Surrounding land use, mostly agriculture. You can see a single-family residence to the west there, that's Huber Farms, and to the south, there's a single-family residence as well. The environmental considerations due to the additional scale of this operation, erosion and sediment control. The site plan submitted said that all measures are going to be staying in place the same as he's operating now. Plus an additional seeding revegetation if the site is unworked for more than 15 days. Truck operations, so trucks and topsoil can get muddy, can track onto the public roads there. The site plan says that they're going to have a wash rack for these trucks to be washed off before they enter the public roads, as well as the gravel entrance there from Pruitt Creek will be treated to make sure that the dust is contained as well on all these trucks. As far as floodplain compliance, all structures will remain outside the floodway, and any structures within the flood fringe would still have to be elevated 1 foot above base flood level. As far as buffering, due to the existing trees staying on this parcel here, I believe that it's well buffered. The residents to the south is well buffered from any noise, dust, issues that could come into play with the additional acreage to the site here. So our recommendation, it's consistent with the purpose and the content of the original CUP, the Charlie 641 as that is the review standard. We did recommend 5 additional conditions on top of the 3 from the original CUP, and that is the maximum limits of soil extraction and minimum property line setbacks illustrated on the concept plan shall be complied with at all times. Areas shown on the concept plat as existing trees to remain shall remain undisturbed, and vegetation shall be allowed to reestablish naturally. Before leaving the property, all trucks shall be washed down to avoid tracking dirt and mud onto roads. The hours of operation shall be limited to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. This conditional use shall not become active until all conditions of this approval have been met.
Any questions for staff? Hearing none, we'll ask the applicant to come forward. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Michael Steiniger, residence at 500 Shamrock Court, St. Paul, Missouri.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay, Mr. Huber is in the background here. He and I started this in 2004. It's a wholesale operation employing 3 to 4 St. Charles County employees full-time. We've operated this, as I said, since 2004. The tract of land we're expanding to that horizontal section that runs east and west simply because in this time period, that initial CUP area, we've farmed it out. And we're amenable to all the covenant agreements requested. And there's, like I said, primarily we're a wholesaler supplier to most of the local landscape companies and quite a few of the road contractors in St. Charles County. And if you have any questions, happy to answer.
Questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll now open the application CUP 25-05, which is seeking an amendment to the existing CUP 631. You solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings or the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff, County Public Advocate. Mailing address, P.O. Box 1535 in O'Fallon. I agree with the additional conditions that were put on by staff. This seems like a good project. I, however, would like to add a few conditions to ensure that the adjoining property owners are insured their property values and runoff concerns. The first condition that I recommend to the commission is that all regulations of the State Department of Natural Resources and our county M4 regulations for stormwater runoff control be adhered to. The second condition that I would ask that you add is erosion control for all to protect all adjoining property owners. As you all know, this is a floodplain almost every year. In the last 5 years, I believe it's been 2 years, this area has significantly flooded, causing a lot of issues for these property owners and people who live in this neighborhood. The last issue is restoration of the land to with a I can't pronounce the word, reclamation plan. I think that needs to be done to ensure that the property is restored to some type of legitimate uses rather than riprapping or just leaving it in disrepair. For those reasons, I would ask the commission to recommend to the county council approval, but I really think that the conditions need to be adhered to protect the floodplain, to protect the adjoining property owners.
Mr. Dinoff, if you read staff recommendation number 2, which was a recommendation that's under the current CUP 631, a St. Charles County floodplain development permit will be required subject to any state or federal permits that may also be required. So
thank you.
It's already there.
I did highlight that. I guess I went over it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Anyone else wishing to speak? We will close the public hearing for CUP 25-05, which is seeking an amendment to the existing CUP 631. Anyone have any questions for the applicants? Hearing none, we'll bring, what?
May I state something I should have before, but the hours of operation that we're proposing, we never discussed that, I don't believe, with the applicant in advance.
It was
7 to 7.
7 to 7.
Yes, but what I wanted to say was that I don't believe we spoke with the applicant before we put this on our staff report to see if those hours would work for their operation. So it may not be a bad idea to just check to make sure, because the intent was to protect those 2 residences nearby, just so they're not doing something at midnight or 1 a.m. with earth-moving equipment.
Okay, we'll ask the applicant to come back. Were you aware that one of the recommendations from staff, come back up here, please. One of the new recommendations for staff is the hours of operations should be limited to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yes, I indicated I'm amenable to the covenant restrictions. And it's to note, my partner, Jerry Huber, is the resident directly across from the operation.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Chair will entertain a motion to approve CUP 25-05 which amends CUP 631, subject to the recommendations set forth in staff report. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Shaw made the second. Mr. Fromm, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ms. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Mr. Shell?
Yes.
Ms. Mamer?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, that passes. Next thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the May 21st, 2025 Planning and Zoning meeting. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the May 21st, 2025 Planning and Zoning meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Planning and Zoning Division updates. Robert?
Two things. One is that we had an application come in for a conditional use permit at 5055 Highway 94 North. It's the co-op property. And they received a CUP for outdoor storage several years ago. That was approved. They went through the site plan process. They only got partway through their improvements and the CUP expired. So they're coming back again. The problem is that we had it on the agenda. They called us and asked us to delay it until July because they're be out of town. We removed it from one of the agendas, but not from, apparently from the online agenda. So what I wanted to mention is that what I should have stated at the beginning of the meeting under changes and or additions to the agenda is to let people know that this item would be forwarded until the July Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
We had some people come in before we started the meeting asking about that, and we had notified them.
Okay. All right. So I apologize. We had we still had that on the agenda online. The second thing I want to mention is that flooding on inland creeks. We receive phone calls from and emails and from folks who have had homes flooded, sometimes repetitively, who live on inland creeks. So there's kind of two categories of flooding that we see. It's one on the major rivers and the other in the inland creeks. And the inland creeks are more of a flash flooding situation, whereas those on the major rivers are, you can see those coming for typically for days, you know. But the flash flood is with very little warning or less warning. So we're certainly tracking damage that's occurring and reports of flood damage for homes. Some homes are repetitive reports. There's some homes, a few homes that have been flooded, for instance, 3 times in the last 5 years, for example. And it's very concerning. In fact, some homeowners are really interested in the possibility of the counties offering a buyout for their homes for these inland creeks, particularly those homes that were built in the floodway, which is the most dangerous part of the floodplain because it's in the direct path of moving water. Those homes were built, say, in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s before St. Charles County entered the National Flood Insurance Program. So there's two, just to let people know, because we receive these questions a lot, there's two categories of buyout funding from FEMA through the State Emergency Management Agency. One is tied to a disaster, a presidential disaster declaration, and the other is for repetitive flood insurance claims. So to qualify, it's got to be one of those two things. Either it's got to be a national disaster declaration or federal disaster declaration, or it's got to be repetitive flood insurance claims. If it doesn't qualify under one of those two categories, it's very unlikely to be eligible for buyout using those federal funds. Now here's an interesting thing. As I understand it, if there's a federal disaster declaration anywhere in Missouri and if there's leftover funds from that area, it's possible that the State Emergency Management Agency can use funding for other areas of the state that have been received damage.
Prior to the event, like not in in accordance with the event? So let's say
Yeah.
4 months beforehand, something happened, this happened, they can retroactively put something towards damage that happened before?
Basically, but what's required as part of this process is a notice of interest. So St. Charles County and other jurisdictions, they file a notice of interest with the State Emergency Management Agency and state on the record, we're interested in the possibility of buyout funds for these properties. And you list the properties and you list the value of the property and lots of other criteria as well. How many times, to our knowledge, have they been damaged, et cetera, et cetera. So in 2022, St. Charles County sent a notice of interest to SEMA, which was on file, which is on file, and included some of these inland creek properties, including those that we get calls about. So we haven't received, we did not qualify for any funding since 2022, except for some buyouts that we're now undergoing. But, and here's one of the things I wanted to tell you, or share with you. We are filing a new notice of interest with the State Emergency Management Agency, and we're including, once again, the highest priority properties that on these inland creeks that we think could be eligible for buyout should funding become available.
How many properties?
Let's see, I'm trying to remember if it's about 20. So I think there's about 20 that we have on this list, highest priority list. The highest priority list is based on factors such as, is it in the floodway or not? The ones that are in the floodway on these inland creeks are, and if they've been damaged, those are the highest priority. Another priority list is if they've have had multiple flood insurance claims within a shorter period of time. So those are, but I wanted to tell you this because I'm sure all of us are hearing people just really concerned, worried. Just some people are at the end of the rope, frankly, with what to do with their property because of the repetitive flood damage.
Are we buying out 3 properties now? I think they reported last week in
We are.
media?
We are. And to let you know that as well, before we decided on which properties to go with for those 3 properties, we first asked FEMA, please send us a list of all the properties in incorporated St. Charles County who are eligible for this, that meet all the criteria. They did. We sent letters to all those property owners and we said, according to FEMA, if you're interested, this is a voluntary program, if you're interested, please let us know so we can include you in the application. We had 3 property owners respond, yes, they're interested, and those are the ones that we applied for with SEMA, received the funding for. One of those properties is not even in a floodplain whatsoever. It's just that street has flooded multiple times. And in fact, the St. Charles County has already over the years, bought out 2 of those homes, and now we're about to buy a third of a home on that street. I mention that because I want everyone to know, just because you're not in a designated flood zone doesn't mean there's not flood risk. Second, just because you're not in a flood zone doesn't mean you're ineligible for flood insurance. You can buy flood insurance no matter where you are, if you're in a flood zone or not. In fact, if you're not in a flood zone, it's probably cheaper. But we're receiving more and more calls from people who are receiving flood damage who are not in the flood zone whatsoever.
Now what happens to the 3 properties? They become property of the county?
Yes. So under federal law and the regulations of the State Emergency Management Agency, it has to be owned by a government agency in perpetuity, and it can never be built upon. So it's essentially going to be a vacant lot.
So the county goes in and demolishes whatever's there and turns it into
a vacant lot.
Vacant lot?
Yeah.
Put grass and stuff in though, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, there's landscaping that occurs, and if it's in a residential subdivision, we mow them more often. If it's just out in the country, we mow it, not as residential subdivision, we mow it less often. But St. Charles County Facilities Department is tasked with mowing all these properties around St. Charles County, and since 1993, we have bought out approximately 1,400 homes. Now, of those 1,400 homes, maybe 500 of them were mobile homes, so they were one piece of, they were one parcel. But the reason I'm mentioning this is that St. Charles County owns hundreds of parcels out there that we've done flood buyout for, and we're responsible for maintaining those parcels.
None of those parcels were in one of the municipalities?
Some of them have been
Annexed?
annexed into municipalities, some of them become public parks. There are open space uses that are compatible, so they can be public parks, they can become basically at least as a side yard for a private property owner. Say that they have a home and they want to increase their yard, they can lease that from the county. Some people use it for recreational purposes such as camping. So.
Just no permanent structures.
Can you do like native prairie grasses and stuff like that?
Yes, you can. In fact, we're thinking about that really hard right now about what recommendations does our department want to make for future management of these buyout parcels. Do we want to do as we're right now, just basically mowing them, or do we want to provide wildlife habitat such as along the rivers? Do we want to let it reestablish on its own, or do we want to actually proactively try to plant native vegetation? Another idea, it could be a classroom learning experience perhaps, where there could be some sort of a class exercises on these properties to help reestablish the native vegetation. I mean, there's lots of interesting ideas that we could work on. So.
I assume in all your maps that you work with every day, these have been identified?
Yes.
So that somebody comes around and says, oh, I want to build a house there?
Yeah, exactly.
It's got the big X on that lot.
The skull and crossbones underwater.
Yes, we have, a GIS map showing all the county-owned parcels, and we have a management system in place. But our record keeping over the past few years has become much better. In fact, within the last year, all those paper files that were in literally about 7 different file cabinets for the buyout history of those properties, including the deeds and everything else, that's all been digitized for our internal use. And so our management is getting is getting better now in terms of our record keeping.
Okay, great.
Nice update.
Anything else?
What about the steering committee? What's the latest on that?
Master Plan Steering Committee, we're looking now and working on the next date for the Master Plan Steering Committee. But potentially I think the next one is going to be a site visit with the consultants from Chicago, and they're interested in working with the Master Plan Steering Committee on draft vision, goals, and key recommendations, and as well as a draft future land use map for consideration by the Master Plan Steering Committee. So at this point, we are a little bit behind. We are a couple months behind, but we've been talking to them about making that up on the back end when we get into the Unified Development Ordinance.
Do you have a date when they'll be presenting to this commission?
I don't yet. We're working, as a matter of fact, we're working on that right now. So we're trying to work on the next date for the meeting. But
thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
I do have one thing. I just want you guys to know I will not be here for the next 2 meetings. So you need to check your schedules to make sure you have quorums. Because I can do it remotely possibly, but I don't know for sure. So please don't vacation. I'm already gone. It's all about me. I called first.
Yeah.
First dibs.
Next two
Next
meetings.
2 months.
Oh,
Next 2 meetings.
You don't even have one.
What's that? What if you had a full-time job?
Not anymore.
You retired?
No, I work 3 days a week. This is my last day. Today. This week. Today's Friday. Yeah. It's nice.
Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.